All right. Good morning. Happy Saturday morning here at KPC, Kunzang Pale Choling. Thank you for coming, and thanks for those online. Hello. Let's take a moment to establish our motivation for being here today. Again, our motivation and our intention directs our action. We always begin by generating compassion for all sentient beings, that whatever we learn here today, whatever virtue we accumulate by doing meditation practice, that we dedicate that for the benefit of all sentient beings. So let's just take a moment to bring that up in our mind and establish that in our mind. So each week we start with opening prayers. So we have our handout here. We'll do the 7-line prayer, chant it 3 times in Tibetan, and I'll put it up on the screen. All right. Organ yugi nu chamsam pemange sarombola yasan shugi no drumne pemajungne shisudra koryu kandro mampokor keki jesu dag druki jinjilop shir sheksu sol guru pema siddhi hom Organ yogi nu chamsam pemage sardom pola yasan shogi no drumne pemajungne jisudrag koru kandrom mampokor keki jesu dag druki jinjilop shir sheksu sol guru pema siddhi hum Organ yogi nu chamsam pemage sardom pola yasan shogi no drumne pemajungne shisudra koru kandro mampokor keki jesu dag druki jinjelok shir sheksu sol Guru Pema Siddhi Hum. All right. So the meditation that we'll be doing today, we'll be doing 3 different types of meditation. And referring to our teacher Jetsunma Akalmamo's text, Stabilizing the Mind. So with that, we'll start with a basic Shamatha meditation, or a calm abiding meditation. And then we'll move into meditations that really help open our heart and our consideration for all sentient beings. So each week we review what meditation is. So meditation is the state of mind when it's relaxed and stable and open. Meditation trains our mind to be this way, to be more relaxed and also more alert and wakeful. Oftentimes we find that our minds are running wild, and they often control us rather than the other way around. So many of Buddhist masters talk about our mind being like our monkey mind, so constantly jumping from one thing to the next. So how do we settle and calm these minds? It's very difficult, especially with everything that's going on in the world right now, to have any peace of mind. And we might find ourselves more reactive than we usually are. We might find ourselves more agitated. We might find ourselves more fatigued, more anxious, more sad, more depressed, fearful about just the unpredictability of the state of our world these days. So meditation is such an important tool for these times we're living in. It's giving us the time and the space and allowing us to actually pause for a minute, to actually give the mind moments of rest and spaciousness. And even if you find that your mind is agitated, inflamed, and just jumping from one thought to the next, just like any other muscle in your body, the more you practice your meditation muscle, the stronger it gets. And so even if you feel very discouraged as you start meditation, slowly, you will see that you can rest the mind for longer periods of time, that you're naturally less reactive, naturally balancing your emotions more easily, that whatever comes to you in your life or whatever interactions you have, that you can meet those interactions in a more calm and stable way. So, and even when the world is rushing around us, we can be this calm, still, we can access that calm and still place within us. So it's like these, the waves of the ocean. We can go deep down to the bottom of the ocean and find that stillness, and that's always within us. We just have to become more and more familiar with that place. Meditation is very important on the Buddhist path because it's the first step in developing bodhicitta, which is the compassionate wish to free all beings from suffering. So if we are completely entranced by our own thoughts, or swirling around with our own reactions and emotions, how can we possibly have the spaciousness to consider others, to practice generosity, to practice compassion, if we are consumed by ourselves? So when we have that spaciousness and that stability in our mind, we can actually be of benefit to others. So today, when we begin our meditation, we are going to focus on our breath. So we're going to have our attention continually going back to the breath. Every time a thought carries us away, we just gently bring our attention back to our breath. So this meditation can also be done by focusing on a candle or a flower or a statue. But today we're going to focus on the breath. And you always have your breath, because wherever you go, you're breathing. Hopefully you're breathing wherever you go. So we'll just, you're all already in your nice meditation posture. So whether you're on the floor or in a chair, just having a straight spine, our shoulders back and our elbows back. And then the traditional posture is the right hand over the left, like this, with our thumbs touching and in our lap. If it's more comfortable to have your hands on your thighs or your knees, that's fine too. And we're going to just breathe naturally as we gaze towards the floor, kind of like a line from the bridge of our nose extending out to the floor, and then picking a point on that line to rest our gaze. So we're not intently staring at anything, just resting our gaze in the space, like pointing down to the floor. We're going to keep our eyes open. We're also letting a little bit of breath through our mouth by putting the tip of our tongue on the back of our teeth. Resting that there. This allows a little bit of air, just like a little parting of our lips as we do that. And it might take a few deep breaths to get to a more stable breath. So we don't want to be labored in our breathing or unnatural in our breathing. But yeah, for me, I'm going to have to take a few deep breaths just to totally settle in. So just settle in as much as you can. And again, we're not trying to control our breath. We're just observing our breath. So it's a very light gossamer attention on the breath. Your attention is like a feather gently riding the surface of your breath. So when thoughts come up, almost like a bubble rising to the surface of the pond, we just let the bubble pop and let it go. Our meditation isn't lost when we have thoughts. It's when we go down the road with those thoughts and we judge them and inspect them. And then all of a sudden we've lost our attention and all these new thoughts come in. So as best we can, we just drop it and come back. So we're not judging ourselves. We're not saying, oh, I'm doing a good job today, or the other day I did much better than today. It's not about comparing or judging yourself. It's just about consistently showing up to do meditation as much as you can. So we'll try just a couple minutes to warm up, and then we'll do a little bit longer session. Just get my okay. Oh, here we go. So again, it's best to just start in little intervals of time when you're starting meditation, so you kind of build up the muscle. So you don't have to jump into the deep end right away, like 45 minutes or an hour meditation. You'll probably find that you're very distracted during that time. So it's best to build it up as best you can. And I have this very cute chime I showed you guys, but I'm showing people online. Very adorable new chime we have, or little bell. So that's what I'll be using. All right, so let's begin. Okay, I'll do a little longer. If you need to readjust or anything, take a sip of water. And again, and when any thoughts arise, we just gently return to our breath. If we find that our mind is very busy today or very distracted by either internal thoughts or maybe external sounds or anything we're observing in the room, we can actually just imagine like cutting the thought or picking up the thought and tossing it away. Sometimes that can um, help if your mind is feeling very busy. Okay, so we'll start again. So, um, now that our mind is hopefully a little more rested and feeling spaciousness, then we will move on to Tonglen, which is also called sending and receiving. So just like Shamatha was, that meditation is all about creating spaciousness in the mind. The whole point is to have the spaciousness in the mind. The whole point of Tonglen, or giving and receiving, is to create more compassion and feelings of equanimity towards all beings. So we are developing our compassion and our ability to be present for our own suffering and for the suffering of others. So it trains us in the energy of loving kindness. So for this practice, we're actually imagining that we're taking on the suffering of sentient beings into ourselves and then sending them all of our happiness. So we're not, this is a mental exercise. We're not actually taking all their suffering on, but we will gradually cease to cherish ourselves over others the more we do this practice. So it really helps us release the selfishness and kind of ego clinging, that really tight hold, and consider other beings, opening our heart to other beings, and really developing a stronger wish to benefit beings, and helping beings through equanimity. So we'll stay in our meditation posture, and we'll start by envisioning one or two beings in front of us. You can switch between them or however you want to do it, but this could be this is anyone that you easily feel compassion towards. So this could be a sibling, a parent, a child, a friend, maybe your cat or your dog, or anyone who you easily feel love towards, and that if they were suffering, you would feel particularly touched by their suffering. You wouldn't want them to suffer in any way. So we're actually imagining what it would be like to be in their place, to stand in their shoes. So we actually contemplate their suffering to help give rise to compassion within our own hearts. So we're cultivating that fervent wish to relieve their suffering. We want to take away that suffering, and then we're just giving them all of our love and compassion. So we do this with the breath. So as we breathe in through our nose, we take in all the causes and conditions of their suffering in the form of a black smoke. So this like dark smoke, you are taking that in, and then you're imagining that they are completely free of suffering, completely free of any misery that they're experiencing. And as you breathe out, as you exhale, you are sending them every conceivable cause for happiness and joy. And it's this in the form of this pure radiant light. And it's bringing them limitless joy. So you can experience them, see them experience that limitless joy. So you might think, as you breathe in, may you be free from suffering, and as you breathe out, may you be happy. So again, you can imagine one person, or you can switch to another person or another, a pet or whatever, as you're doing it. So we're going to do it for a few minutes. And just do your best. All right. right, so we're going to try again. And this time, we want to choose someone that we feel the opposite towards. We feel aversion, dislike. Maybe we feel anger towards this person. Maybe we just don't like this person. So, when we talk about bodhicitta, again, that compassionate wish to free all beings from suffering, that's all beings. So sometimes it's hard for us to really grasp what that means. So that means anyone and all beings that you have any sort of frustration or anger or upset towards. So we're not, everyone's included. We don't have some people on the sidelines that aren't included in that, people were like, no, they don't deserve our love. So this practice is really challenging that resistance in ourselves, to not include certain people in our love and our compassion. So just the same way, you're going to contemplate their suffering. Maybe they have immense suffering that's created who they are today. Maybe, they've hurt you in some way, but they themselves had some terrible suffering that they went through, and they've just ended up the way that they've ended up. So at least that's helpful for me. Sometimes when we think of that, we can just think, okay, if I really was able to take all this person's suffering away, truly, if we could do that, we could just snap our fingers and do that, then yes, we would do this for everyone, because think of what world we would live in. There'd be no war, there'd be no conflict, there'd be no, people eating abundant food in this country and other people starving in other countries. We would just all consider each other, and we wouldn't want anyone to suffer, and we'd all be joyful and happy. So if we could do that, wouldn't we do it? Even for the meanest, baddest, monster-like people we we think that they are, if we all were relieved of our suffering, if we all truly knew how to create the causes of happiness and not harm others, things would be so different. So again, imagine that person in front of you that really pushes your buttons or really upsets you, and see if you can chip away at your heart a little bit and have some consideration. Everyone's not in the best ways always, but everyone's trying to be happy, even if that looks like something horrific. It's that dominance or that power or whatever that is. It's like no being wants to suffer. No one is choosing to suffer. No one wants to have suffering. Everyone wants to be happy. So with this practice, we really are making that aspiration. Like if we could all, if everyone in the world could sit down and do Tonglen for each other, that would be a totally different world. So let's try this. We'll do it for a few minutes. So you can imagine one person or two people are switched between, and if you're like, you know what, I don't really dislike anyone. You can think of someone maybe that you just got frustrated with in an argument, or someone that cut you off in traffic the other day, whatever it is. So try to contemplate their suffering and put yourself in their shoes, and see if you can, again, breathe in all the causes of their suffering. You actually see all of that remove, they're completely free of that suffering, and you're breathing that in as that dark smoke, and then you're exhaling and just giving them all of your positive qualities, all causes of happiness and joy in that pure, radiant light. And they're fully receiving that. So let's try this. Do your best. All right. We're going to increase our meditation, increase the size and amount of people that we imagine in front of us. So we're imagining a larger group of people that maybe we feel this frustration or anger towards. And then as you're doing that, just keep expanding your visualization out until you are doing this for all beings in all directions. And taking, taking in their suffering and then inhaling, taking in their suffering and then exhaling and breathing out all of your compassion and love in the form of that radiant light. So let's try this for just a few more minutes and then we'll do one more meditation and wrap up. Okay.
I was just glad to see that. You trust out there. You help people. You have to tell me how to do that.
Okay. So again, we just try to do this, even if it's difficult. We just slowly, again, chip away at our reservations or resistance around our heart. And as we deepen in this meditation, our heart opens, we increase the scope of the visualization to, again, like include larger groups of people and eventually all beings, and that we can do this practice easily for all beings with compassion and equanimity in our heart. So we're going to finish with Jetsunma's light expansion prayer. And this is again expanding that light to all beings. So you can just listen along. Sounds like we have some people about to come in. You can listen along, and then we'll do some closing prayers at the end and to wrap up things. Hi, come on in. Yeah, we're just gonna do a little guided meditation prayer. So yeah, hi, welcome. Oh, hi. Nice to meet you. Hello. Hi, welcome. We're just doing a little meditation, but feel free just walking around. And, yeah, good to meet you. Adam's the best. All right. Okay. Let us become still. take a deep breath and let it out slowly. Again, let us center deep within. Center deep within. Deep within to the presence of the Absolute. And there is radiance. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace the physical body. And all of the physical body is filled with the presence of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to fill our beings in all dimensions. And all that we are is filled with the radiance of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to fill everyone here. And everyone here on all dimensions is filled with the presence of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace this building. And all of this building is filled with the light of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace this nation. And all the government of this nation is filled with the radiance of the Absolute. And the people of this nation are one life. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace planet Earth. All nations and all governments are filled with the presence of the Absolute. And there is peace. And the 8 billion are one life, radiant. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to fill this galaxy. All planets, all stars, and all life forms are within the embrace of the Absolute. The presence of the Absolute increases and expands to embrace the universe. All dimensions and all kingdoms are filled with the presence of the Absolute. And in all the universe, there is only one life. Now, as we return our consciousness back to physical form, we continue to embrace all that is and to know union, that we are one. And with that, we will do our dedication prayers. I'll put them up on the screen, so just sealing in the virtue of doing all of our different meditations today. We'll dedicate that to the benefit of all beings. Throughout my many lives and until this moment, whatever virtue I've accomplished, including the merit generated by this practice, and all that I'll ever attain, this I offer for the welfare of sentient beings. May sickness, war, famine, and suffering be decreased for every being, while their wisdom and compassion increase in this and every future life. May I clearly perceive all experiences as to be as insubstantial as the dream fabric of the night, and instantly awaken to perceive the pure wisdom display in the rising of every phenomenon. May I quickly attain enlightenment in order to work ceaselessly for the liberation of all sentient beings. Buddhas and Bodhisattvas altogether, whatever kind of motivation you have, whatever kind of beneficial action, whatever kind of wishing prayers, whatever kind of omniscience, whatever kind of life accomplishment, whatever kind of benevolent power, whatever kind of immense wisdom you have, similarly I, who have come in the same way to benefit beings, pray to attain these qualities. By this effort, may all sentient beings be free of suffering. May their minds be filled with the nectar of virtue. In this way, may all causes resulting in suffering be extinguished, and only the light of compassion shine throughout all realms. Thank you all for joining today, and thanks for those watching online. Tomorrow at 11:30, we have Kempo Karze teaching he'll be teaching and doing a meditation practice, as well as some Q&A and a group practice, a little group mantra recitation. We also have an empowerment cycle coming up, a bunch of wonderful empowerments and teachings given on the weekend of April 18th. There's more information on our website at tara.org. And we also have many wonderful volunteer opportunities, especially with the springtime and so much activity happening here on the property. So if you are interested, whether you're in the room or you're online, there's many opportunities and ways to plug in. So please let us know. And there's a volunteer section on our website as well. And we hope to see you back. We do this meditation practice every Saturday at 11. So thank you all. I'm going to end the live stream. Thank you. Thanks for coming.